Our top story this afternoon, North Korea seems to be strengthening its border security following the recent defection of a North Korean soldier who dashed across the joint security area in Panmunjom. A picture posted on Twitter by Mark Napper, the acting U.S. ambassador to South Korea, shows North Korean workers digging a trench on the northern side of the JSA. The 24-year-old defector, identified only by his family name Oh, was shot multiple times by his former comrades when he sprinted across the border on November 13th. The soldier was moved out of intensive care on Friday and is said to be recovering well at Aju University Hospital in Suwon, south of Seoul. Hospital officials say the soldier has been watching South Korean and American TV shows and has been sharing his experience of having driven Hyundai vehicles in the north.
Japanese police have taken into custody 8 fishermen who claim to be from North Korea. They and their boat were found Thursday washed ashore on the northwestern coast of Japan, hundreds of miles from their home. Although the boat was broken down, none of the men appeared to have serious injuries. The Japanese government says the investigation into the incident will include the possibility of illegal fishing, but it's yet to confirm their nationality or whether they intend to defect. Japan does occasionally rescue North Koreans from wrecks off the coast. Other times, boats have been adrift for a long time and the crew are dead when they wash ashore.
After 2 major surgeries and days in intensive care, the North Korean soldier who risked his life fleeing to the south is making a swift recovery at Aju University Hospital in Suwon, south of Seoul. The 24-year-old soldier, identified only by his family name Oh, was shot 5 times by his former comrades when he sprinted across the military demarcation line on November 13th. However, Dr. Lee Guk-jong, who led the surgeries on the soldier, says he could suffer long-term health problems, such as blockage of the intestines known as intestinal obstruction, due to a number of his organs being penetrated by bullets. Considering his condition, the doctor has suggested the defector shouldn't go through official questioning for at least another month. For now, the defector is said to be resting, enjoying TV shows like the American crime investigation series CSI and Hollywood movies, and listening to some of his favorite K-pop singers on repeat. With hospital staff, the former soldier also shared his experience on having driven Hyundai vehicles back in the north. Meanwhile, following the defection, North Korea appears to be tightening its border security. A picture posted on Twitter by Mark Napper, the acting U.S. ambassador to South Korea, shows North Korean workers digging a trench on the northern side of the joint.
It has emerged that North Korea reached out for a dialogue with the United Nations 2 months ago. Isolated for so long, it's possible Pyongyang wanted to object to the international sanctions piling up on it. The regime's attempt, however, was rebuffed by Washington. Our Oh Jung-hee reports.
North Korea asked the UN chief to open up dialogue between Pyongyang and the UN 2 months ago, according to Tokyo-based Kyodo News Agency on Friday. Quoting various diplomatic sources familiar with the UN, the agency reported North Korea's Foreign Minister Ri Yong-ho asked for a dialogue channel with the UN Secretariat in late September, when he had a closed-door meeting with UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. It's known that the Secretary-General avoided giving a direct answer to this request, but expressed concern over the tensions on the Korean peninsula. He also called on the regime to abide by UN resolutions and stop nuclear and missile development. Later, Jeffrey Feltman, the UN's Under-Secretary-General for Political Affairs, discussed this matter with a high-level U.S. official. And due to U.S. opposition, a dialogue between North Korea and the UN couldn't be achieved. Kyodo reported that there could have been diverging views among the permanent members of the UN Security Council, as China and Russia were for this dialogue. It's been speculated that the North wanted an international conversation to claim that the sanctions against Pyongyang are unreasonable. North Korea's representatives to the UN are continuously demanding for a global forum that involves law experts to verify the legality of the UN's sanctions resolutions.
They were just a few feet behind him. They fired more than 40 bullets, but failed to kill or capture him. And tonight, the North Korean soldiers who couldn't keep their comrade from pulling off a dramatic escape last week are facing the fallout. A South Korean lawmaker tells CNN nearly all the North Korean soldiers present along the border that day have been replaced. Human rights observers say being replaced could be the least of their worries.
What's their most likely fate?
They will be investigated by the Military Security Command, possibly by the State Security Department as well, which is the North Korean Gestapo. It is very likely that torture will be involved in the pre-trial investigation, if there is going to be a trial. It's most likely that they will be charged with treason.
Analysts say the North Korean soldiers' dash across the border, with every compelling sequence captured on closed-circuit footage, was such a humiliation for Kim's regime that the repercussions could be felt among Kim's top generals as well.
I think the fallout will go higher up to a commanding person who were not able to stop from this happening, because this is very high-profile defection. It's very embarrassing for the Kim regime. I mean, even just all those tapeworms coming out of the soldier's body, all of this is very, very embarrassing to the regime.
Experts say the commanders of these units could be sent to labor camps, could be demoted or sent for re-education. Another measure the regime is taking to prevent this from happening again, North Korean workers were seen digging a trench at the spot where the soldier made a run for it. Meantime, the South Korean soldiers who risked gunfire to crawl to the North Korean and drag him to safety have been given medals for their bravery. The 24-year-old at the center of all this is now off life support, his doctors say, is out of the ICU, but is still suffering psychological trauma.
Last night, that he had a dream that he was kidnapped to North Korea again.
Dr. Lee Cook-jong says he's had to reassure the young man that he's safe.
In previous international sporting events, South Korea and North Korea have worked together and sought to improve their relationship through sports. In the 1991 World Table Tennis Championships in Chiba, Japan, the two Koreas competed as a unified team under the name Korea. The two even marched in together during the opening and closing ceremonies of the 2000 Sydney Olympics and the 2006 Winter Olympics in Turin, Italy, among other sporting events. With the 2018 Winter Olympics being held in South Korea's Pyeongchang, many have expressed hope that the two would participate in the Games together, or even just that North Korea would turn up to the Games.
북한의 평창 동계올림픽 참가를 적극 환영하며 IOC와 함께 끝까지 노력할 것입니다.
The North's participation in next year's Winter Games would hold much meaning, as it would contribute to realizing the Olympic values of friendship and peace, and could even help alleviate the current tensions on the Korean peninsula. Currently, North Korea has only qualified for one event, pairs figure skating, where Yeom Dae-ok and Kim Ju-sik grabbed their tickets to Pyeongchang in September. And according to the International Skating Union, Pyongyang told them last month that it was willing to use that spot. But with no clear statement officially given by North Korea yet, experts have differing views on whether the reclusive regime will join the global sporting event.
Through the Olympics, North Korea would want to show the world that it's not the antagonist and that it's part of the international community. Also, Pyongyang's latest missile launch dates back to September, and tensions are now relatively lower on the Korean peninsula. So seeing the current situation, I think there is more chance of Pyongyang joining the Games.
Some experts have also noted North Korea's active participation in previous global sporting events.
From the World Championships to the Olympics, North Korea has been quite active in participating in sporting events. Although Pyongyang has shut down exchanges with the world in many aspects, sports is one exception.
In fact, though the North failed to qualify for the last Games in Sochi, it did participate in the two Olympics prior to that. But there are others who are less hopeful.
If you look at the situation from Pyongyang, it's quite clear that North Korea has nothing to gain if it attends the Olympic Games. Their current policy is to have no interaction with the South Korean government, and they don't see why they will change such a policy because of the Pyeongchang Olympic Games.
He added that North Korea would not want to create the impression that the relationship between the two Koreas is good, as they want South Korean President Moon Jae-in to either choose between them and the United States. While North Korea's decision is still unknown, the South Korean government and the International Olympic Committee are working to bring Pyongyang to the Games. The IOC last month announced that it's willing to cover all costs for the North Korean athletes through its Olympic Solidarity Program if North Korea participates in the 2018 Winter Games. And to increase opportunities for North Korean athletes to take part in the Games, South Korea and the IOC are also discussing giving Pyongyang a wild card or even holding friendly matches on the sidelines. Although discussions with North Korea can only go through the single IOC channel, experts say Seoul can work to create an environment that induces Pyongyang to attend the 2018 Winter Games.
With the next Olympics to be held in Japan and China, South Korea should invite leaders of the two countries to Pyeongchang next year, promoting the event as a floor of discussion and hopefully making it a cornerstone towards a peaceful Northeast Asia.
With expectations that North Korea will announce its decision at the last minute, South Korea's Culture Minister Do Jong-hwan said that Seoul will wait until as late as February in its effort to make the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics truly a festival of peace.